Audition is a 1999 Japanese horror film from director Yakashi Miike, and it begins with, I guess, an innocent enough premise, but it slowly but surely kind of makes its way into the more morbid and unravels a mystery as the film progresses until it reaches a startling and gruesome climax. I had heard about this film for many, many years. A lot of people have talked to me about it and said, you got to see this movie. Always, in every case, every conversation, always very vague about it. Like, not wanting to give it away, just kind of vaguely going, just watch it, keep with it, and some really crazy twisted stuff happens. So give it a look. So now I have finally seen it. Finally got the chance to sit down and watch the film after having it kind of hyped up for years now, and maybe because of the hype, not as mind blowing and crazy and twisted as I had built up in my mind, I guess, but still very good, very shocking and strange and creepy of a film. And in doing this review, I guess I'll extend the same courtesy. I'll be vague about it, but I will talk about kind of like the general premise of the film, and that's it's about a businessman, Ayoma, who is widowed and has sort of been in kind of a slump for many years. Uh, Kind of wanting to find a new wife and get out there again and date, and he lives alone with his son, and even his son is kind of like, Dad, you look a little worn out. Maybe you need a female in your life, some female companionship and stuff like that. Um, so that's where he's kind of beginning in this film, and that's what's kind of eating away at him a little bit. But he doesn't really know how to go about it, and he doesn't feel he relates to the modern woman, and of course, still kind of holds up the memory of his departed wife as kind of this impossible template, and he's in pursuit of something very specific. He wants almost like an unattainably perfect kind of woman, and that's where he gets into kind of a scheme with a friend of his who happens to be a film producer, Yoshikawa, who proposes to him this idea of, hey, let's hold auditions for this kind of scam movie, which we may or may not end up producing, and let's try and get a lead actress who's beautiful and wonderful and great, and of course in reality they're searching for Ayoma's prospective new girlfriend, new bride, new wife, things like that. So that's the premise of the audition portion of the movie. And of course, he does meet someone who kind of actually fits the bill in what he's looking for. Aoman really gets enchanted by this woman, Asami, who really gets under his skin, really he feels a strong connection to her before even meeting her at the audition, because they have resumes and kind of their own personal stories that come along with them, and she's kind of this sort of a sad figure where she was a dancer and she had gotten into an accident, was no longer able to do that, and kind of accepted the loss of this discipline in her life as accepting death itself. Kind of like actually kind of morbid, but Ayoma finds it quite romantic, and he finds her, despite being a little bit younger than him, finds her mature beyond her years, and eventually they do develop this relationship. They do go out, and it seems to be going as perfectly as he could have hoped, and a marriage proposal seems to be in the future. So the plan works. This sham audition kind of goes exactly the way Yoshikawa predicted it would. But little things start to rear their ugly heads, and things start to not quite add up. There's a bit of a mystery behind this Asami character, and we kind of wonder what exactly it is, and how she's not exactly the perfect match that Aoma believes her to be. So that's kind of where the mystery goes, and that's, as the film enters into its final third, there are some shocking revelations and some shocking scenes that follow, and it indeed becomes a fully fledged horror film where, during the course of the movie, you can almost forget that it is a horror film. You kind of get into the plot such as it is on its own merits, which it is kind of a funny thing to me. Like, that's almost irresistible where a horror movie can have almost the exact same premise as a cheesy, stupid romantic comedy, but with just a slightly different turn can make all the difference. Like, you could almost see this as like any number of like a romantic comedy starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, or Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. You could almost see this same scheme with the whole fake audition process playing out almost exactly as it does here, and like maybe just with the change in the third act being that she finds out about it, and how could you do this? How could you lie to me? And he's like, oh babe, you don't understand. And they break up, and it's very sad, and they play this sad song against a montage of them, at their homes alone, looking at the phone, and all that. And then finally, there's some grand gesture, and they get back together, and it's a happy ending and stuff like that. So it could almost turn out exactly like that, if not for some very severe differences and different turns that this movie takes, which I dare not give away, just in case you haven't seen the film. So that's interesting to me. That's funny, and again, I mean, the movie, it's effective enough that you do almost kind of you forget that you are watching a horror movie, at least for a little bit, until very, very gradually it starts revealing these things about the Asami character, and certain things about her and her past, and certain characters we meet, and certain strange stories that we hear that all kind of relate to her, and then finally kind of finding out, what it all amounts to, and where it all goes with the finale of the film. So it's all very interesting, and and having heard about it for so long, and having it recommended by quite a few people over the years, and not finally having seen it until now, I guess there's certain things that stand out more than maybe they would have had I seen it earlier. Because today, obviously, in 2020, there are different sexual politics that are kind of in the spotlight in today's day and age, and things that we look at quite a bit differently, with like the Me Too movement and stuff like that. So kind of in watching this movie, you kind of think to yourself, in today's day and age, you kind of think, well, is Aoma with this whole audition process, this whole fake scam movie kind of thing, auditioning all these girls, is this predatory behavior? Is this not really kind of the innocent, romantic ploy that kind of we're meant to sort of think it is? Like, is this something that's morally questionable and stuff like that. Because I mean, he's lying and then taking advantage in a way of unsuspecting women who show up hoping for a career in film. So it is kind of predatory in a way. And when it kind of arrives at the conclusion of the film, we kind of wonder, well, uh, does he meet certain consequences that are justified in a certain kind of way, or is he on the more innocent side? So you kind of think there is a moral quandary there, and certain things uh, that the Asami character says about the whole situation leads us to kind of think about the actions of Aoma, and if they are morally questionable and things like that. So I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have thought of that kind of stuff without the different politics of today, and of course there's to consider the cultural differences in Japan as well. But that's something to think of, and maybe the character isn't completely innocent, and maybe there are certain consequences that are unavoidable, as extreme as they may be in this film. Again, trying to dance around the revelation as much as I can, but there are certain things that we do learn that kind of drive that home even further about the Asami character's past, and things that have happened to her that shape her in a certain way, all kind of leading to this destination where we get in the film. So it's an interesting thing to think of in this day and age, in 2020, and I guess maybe the film is timeless in a way that it's was confronting these kinds of things 20 years ago, and it's something that's very much in the worldwide discussion today. So it's a very good movie. I was really taken in by it, really entranced by it, really on the edge of my seat for a good portion of it. Again, I'd say if there's any fault, which isn't really a fault of the movie, it's like maybe I built it up over the years in my own head of how extreme it may have gone. But there are extreme stuff, and there's stuff that might make you wince a little bit in the film. So it's done pretty well. If I have any other complaints, maybe just in terms of my own taste, is that when we do get into the final act of the film, it sort of plays with reality a little too much for my taste. That's just, personally how I feel, because there are parts of the final third or quarter of the film where we're kind of questioning, okay, so what is going on? Is this a dream? Is this a vision? What's going on here? I mean, I'm usually, I'm okay with that kind of stuff. Like, if you watch a David Lynch film where, reality is all bets are off, that's fine. But then when it kind of comes unsuspected like this, you kind of think, well, could they have made this a little bit clearer? Could they have not stretched this dream sequence as much as they do? But whether it is reality or not, whether it is dream or not, it does hold, unquestionable, I suppose, truths about the character, and that's how we find them out, and that's how they're revealed to us. So it's revealing stuff in an interesting kind of way, nevertheless. But just kind of you never like to feel like you're being fucked with kind of the reality bending aspects of movies. So that might be my only complaint, but it's very minimal in terms of complaints, and I'd say for the most part, over the years, anybody who's recommended this movie to me, anybody who's said great things, I would have to agree with. It's a really, really different film, and the climax is pretty satisfying. What can I say? So that's my review of Audition. Definitely give it a look if you haven't already. Hopefully I was as vague as I possibly could be in this review and didn't give away too much. But we're journeying toward the morbid and scary and shocking all throughout this month. 31 Days of Horror, new horror movie reviews every day in October. Be sure to follow along with me to keep up with new reviews every day, and be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Stay scared, and until next time, I'll see you later.